Chief Executive John Lee visits Tuen Mun to attend Forum for First Five-Year Plan. Triathlete dies after suspected drowning during a Taipo race. Pro- and anti-migrant protests erupt in Spain's Ceuta. Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. The government has held its first public consultation on Hong Kong's new five-year plan and 2026 policy address. Chief Executive John Lee was in Tuen Mun to hear what members of the public have to say. Hiba Khan reports.
Chief Executive John Lee, along with various secretaries and directors of bureaus, went to a secondary school in Tuen Mun to listen to public opinions on the first five-year plan and 2026 policy address. Over 130 citizens from all walks of life were in attendance. The consultation revolved around issues regarding the northern metropolis. Many were particularly concerned about planning issues, as urban renewal work faces challenges with existing infrastructure, regulations, and procedural problems. Young people attending expressed anxiety about unemployment rates and a scarcity of job opportunities despite the development of new industries. The CE responded that they will vigorously promote industry-academia research collaboration, as the most important thing is to create more high-quality jobs. One man raised a question of similar nature, specifically referring to the city's ethnically diverse population, questioning whether this new generation of diverse professionals will be able to tread equal career paths as locals.
As the 2026 policy address establish a pathway for these homegrown, ethnically diverse professionals serve in mainstream district health and social service teams with their full linguistic and bicultural capabilities recognized as professional strength that enhance service quality for every resident.
I treat every member of the 7.5 million people as family members in this big family of Hong Kong. So we'll do our best to ensure that the best development and contribution can be made available for different ethnicity.
The consultation concluded at 12 p.m. Members of the public can also submit their views on the Policy Address public consultation webpage or via telephone, email, and other channels. Hiba Khan, TVB News.
A triathlete went missing this morning after being suspected to have drowned during a race in Taipo. The competitor was rescued after more than 7 hours, but was pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. Here's Hiba Khan again.
The race began in Tai Mei Tuk at 6:10 a.m. under the amber rainstorm warning. The 59-year-old participant entered the water at approximately 6:20 a.m. for the 1,500-meter swim, which typically takes competitors 30 to 45 minutes to complete. He was competing in the challenge group for those aged 55 to 59, which is understood to be a more difficult category. Police were alerted by the organizers, the Triathlon Association of Hong Kong, China, at around 8 a.m. Firefighter divers eventually recovered the participant and performed CPR on him aboard a rescue boat. This woman says visibility in the sea was normal. She said they were able to swim straight and could see the buoy markers. Moreover, there were also many kayaks and rescue boats along the way to watch over the participants. The event has adverse weather arrangements in place. If a red or black rainstorm warning is issued, or if the weather conditions are severe, the race will be cancelled. Hiba Khan, TVB News.
3 more individuals have been arrested on suspicion of murder and assisting offenders after authorities connected them with a murder that took place in a Tsim Sha Tsui bar last week. At least 12 people linked with the case have been arrested so far. The case revolves around a 32-year-old victim who was beaten by a group of customers at a bar on Cameron Road last Sunday. He sustained serious head and chest injuries and was unconscious when he was sent to hospital, where he was subsequently confirmed dead. The 3 men who were arrested over the past 2 days included a 40-year-old man who was suspected of murder, while the 2 others, aged 36 and 52, were suspected of assisting offenders. They're set to appear at the Kowloon City Magistrates Court on Monday. Sources say the latest arrests include the mastermind behind the murder, who is also a key triad member in the Yaotingmon district. US President Donald Trump posted on social media Saturday that the US military is fully prepared to launch a military strike against Iran at any time, while Iran and other Middle East countries have requested the US to postpone any attack. Iran has called Trump's words a lie. Tracy Furness reports.
According to Donald Trump, he has agreed to cancel an attack at Iran's request, but only if there's a swift agreement that includes the immediate and complete opening of the Strait of Hormuz and the end of Iran's nuclear threat. Israel also made a commitment along with the United States. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman spoke with Trump by phone, expressing concern about his new plan for a large-scale strike against Iran, urging the US not to attack Iran, which is understood to have led to Trump's sudden halt in the operation. US State Department had previously issued a security alert to US citizens in 10 Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia and Israel, urging them to remain vigilant and prepare for potential flight cancellations and consider leaving the region should the situation escalate. On the same day, several facilities in Kuwait were attacked by Iranian drones, including a government building in the north. The Kuwaiti military claimed that its air defense system successfully shot down several drones. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi held separate phone calls with the foreign ministers of Pakistan, Turkey and Saudi Arabia to discuss the latest developments in the region. He warned the United States that any risky actions would face resolute and proportionate retaliation measures from Iran. Iran's military commanders said Trump lied about Iran's request and warned that they would retaliate if the United States attacked Iranian energy facilities. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Gianni Infantino's decade-long position as president of FIFA comes under scrutiny amid backlash following his failed bid to sell off portions of the World Cup to private equity investors. The Union of European Football Association declares no confidence in Infantino and says those responsible for the controversial privatization plan should be held accountable.
The European soccer body, headed by Alexander Ceferin, delivers a statement on Saturday which says no option should be off the table and that the current FIFA leadership has lost UEFA's confidence in many other members of the football family. UEFA adds they cannot keep going on like this, with secret schemes on fast-track timescales cooked up by faceless individuals and of dubious benefit to the game. It further pledges to pursue a full review with its associations and other confederations to devise a plan so that it cannot occur again. UEFA earlier accused FIFA of selling the soul of football after details leaked of Infantino's proposal to hand over a stake in the World Cup's commercial, broadcasting and ticketing rights through a $20 billion subsidiary named FIFA Forward Enterprise. Infantino was forced to scrap the plan after widespread backlash. His senior advisor, who sat on the White House panel, resigned, and Asia's soccer body joined Europe and North America in opposing the plan. The secrecy surrounding the creation of the commercial venture has also fractured internal relationships. In a statement issued to the Associated Press, FIFA Chief Operating Officer Kevin Lemore says the FIFA staff were deceived by Infantino's lack of openness. The collapse of the World Cup sell-off plan, which was abandoned in the face of unprecedented European and international immunity, has accelerated plans by some regional confederations to unseat the sitting president, with a critical deadline for the next FIFA election set for November the 18th. The head of European leagues, Claudius Schäfer, tells a Swiss newspaper that after seeing how this whole thing unfolded, there's essentially only one consequence in any company or association.
Spanish authorities said migrant crossings into its North African territory of Ceuta had stopped overnight after a mass border rush that killed at least 67 people. Meanwhile, police began installing a floating barrier off Spain's border with Morocco.
Civil guards started laying the pneumatic barrier at 7:50 a.m. Saturday local time on the Tarajal breakwater after around 60,000 migrants breached the frontier earlier this week. Authorities say the 500-meter-long containment barrier, alongside a line of anchored naval buoys, is designed to stand 30 to 7 centimeters above water and can extend as much as 1 meter below the surface. At a cafeteria in Ceuta, right-wing activists tried to stage a protest against the migration crisis on Saturday afternoon, but had to cancel it after tense confrontations with a group of counter-protesters who chanted, "I am Spanish." People surrounded a cafe chain and were separated from the activists by a police cordon. Elvis Perez, the leader of far-right Se Acabo La Fiesta political party, and other group members were led away by police. Meanwhile, 21-year-old Moroccan Abdullah Bouji explains why he crossed into Ceuta. There are no opportunities there in Morocco, he said, just sitting in your home or working for 12 hours for a lesser salary. Moroccan agriculture worker Ikra Kai, who was working in Spain's Huelva, said she arrived at the beach to search for her sister's son. A handful of migrants who swam to the tiny Spanish enclave on that day were escorted back across the border by soldiers. Spain's Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska says most of them have returned to their home country, emphasizing cooperation with Morocco in resolving the situation.
And still ahead, at least 3 dead in Idaho's shopping mall shooting. Explosion in Moscow kills suspected bomber and 2 others. And former observatory head says El Nino may bring extremely hot summer to Hong Kong. Welcome back. A shooting at an In-N-Out burger restaurant in southern Idaho on Saturday afternoon left multiple people dead and others injured.
As I was running, I faced the shooter head on and he pointed the gun at me, and I ducked behind a white car just to have some sort of coverage. I saw a pistol on a gun case. I'm guessing that was his. And I didn't have anything to defend myself, so I grabbed the gun and I pulled it back. It was jammed, so I just felt helpless. And I saw the truck in front of me, so I ran as fast as I could and I just threw it, got in the car, and we left.
Police said the shooter was among the dead. Police was still trying to determine the shooter's identity and motive. The shooting took place near a busy shopping area and hundreds of people were there at the time. The In-N-Out opened a week earlier as part of the company's recent expansion in Idaho. A homemade bomb carried by a woman killed 3 people and injured at least 21 in an explosion near an upscale restaurant in central Moscow on Saturday evening. Russia's anti-terrorist committee said that an unidentified woman tried to get into the restaurant but was stopped by a security guard. Tracy Furness has more.
A heavy police presence outside the Balzi Rossi Italian restaurant in central Moscow after an explosion occurred around 8 p.m. Russia's anti-terrorism committee said that an unidentified woman tried to get into the restaurant but was stopped by a security guard. RIA Novosti reported the woman was attempting to smuggle the IED, improvised explosive device, into the establishment, but the security guard refused to let her in before the bomb exploded. The woman, the security guard, and a customer at the restaurant were killed in the blast. The restaurant is located in one of Moscow's 7 Stalin-era skyscrapers at Kudrinskaya Square. The area was closed off to the public by police after the incident. Police did not name those killed or injured, nor did they say who they thought might have been responsible. More than 4 years into a full-scale war with Ukraine, Russia's FSB security service said earlier this year that authorities would step up protection for high-ranking military officials after a series of assassinations and attempted killings it blamed on Kyiv. The Kommersant daily newspaper cited its own sources as saying that the bomb intended to maim and kill guests who were enjoying themselves at the restaurant's summer terrace outside. It suggested the bomb had been set off by someone else remotely and that the woman carrying it may not have known that it was an explosive device. Moscow Investigative Committee said the attack was still being investigated. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Britain's approval for China to build a vast embassy in London was lawful, the country's High Court ruled on Friday, rejecting a legal challenge brought by a group of local residents. China's plans to build an embassy on the site of the 2-century-old Royal Mint Court near the Tower of London were approved in January, shortly before then Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited China. The decision was seen as part of a wide attempt to improve ties with Beijing, despite British and US politicians warning that it could be used as a base for spying. Britain's intelligence agency said any threat could be mitigated. Local residents argued this month that the decision was unlawful. They claimed officials failed to take into account the risk that the new embassy could curtail protests or be used to monitor Chinese dissidents. Amid the government's push to tighten borrowing regulations for low-income individuals, including foreign domestic helpers, some helper training centers in the Philippines have strengthened education on financial literacy. Timothy Lee tells us more.
From cleaning to cooking, these soon-to-be maids are undergoing the usual training required for foreign domestic helper work in Hong Kong. But with the government's latest measure to tighten borrowing regulations for low-income individuals, trainees at this Filipino domestic helper training center will also need to take classes on financial literacy.
Do not engage in borrowing money. They ask for more money back. Don't overspend like gadgets, jewelries, clothes. You can buy it here more cheaper.
Dolly, the course's instructor, said many of the maids who come from impoverished or remote territories in the Philippines often lack basic financial knowledge owing to their low levels of education. She believes her classes can help improve their situation.
I advise them keep a little amount of money in the bank so for future needs, just in case family got sick or emergency needs. She don't need to borrow money from other people.
Renalyn, a trainee domestic helper, says she has friends in her same line of work who borrowed money in Hong Kong just for remittance purposes.
Sometimes Filipino has a big heart. They want to give. For me, it's not good also to borrow money when you're not capable also to pay for it.
Many Filipino maids who ended up borrowing money in the city often do so just to pay domestic helper agencies for their training and fees for body checks. This, as a Filipino agency suggested that employers in Hong Kong should cover this financial burden for the domestic helpers.
I could say 95% will be trimmed down in applying for a loan. The housemaid will not force themselves to borrow money. Number two, the agency can recruit a highly qualified domestic helper.
But a former Philippine labor attaché in the city was skeptical about local employers' willingness to cooperate with this measure. He stressed more effort should be placed into tackling illegal domestic helper agencies who abuse the system.
The Department of Migrant Workers of the Philippines should monitor agencies and check if they're really passing on the fees to the workers.
Timothy Lee, TVB News.
As climate phenomenon El Nino is set to surpass previous records this year, former director of the observatory Lam Chiu-ying said he does not exclude the possibility of heat levels in Hong Kong to continue breaking records well into the coming year. He noted authorities need to strengthen assessments and adjust their calculations for issuing the heat stress at work warning. Timothy Lee reports.
With the ocean warming up owing to the effects of climate phenomenon El Nino, Hong Kong has increasingly experienced extreme weather conditions in recent years. Climatologists have also noted the possibility of a super El Nino event at the end of this year. Speaking on a TVB News program, former director of the observatory, Lam Chiu-ying, said while tropical cyclones have reduced in numbers over recent years, there's been an increase in their strength, adding that higher temperature should be a cause for concern. Lam said the blistering weather conditions may well continue into the following year, mostly depending on the duration of the El Nino phenomenon. He said he's worried that the combination of global warming and the El Nino event could result in record-breaking heat across the world. Lam, well known for not using air conditioners, said he was tempted to turn one on earlier this year and may soon be tempted again. Addressing the issue of workers working under hot weather conditions, the former observatory chief suggested authorities to adopt the International Wet Bulb Globe Temperature Measurement to assess the need to issue the heat stress at work warning. pointing to sources indicating that the city's highest temperature is concentrated in the northern metropolis area. Lam proposed developers to plant more trees and preserve wetlands at the development site to resolve this problem. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Hong Kong started another day with amber rainstorm warning, which lasted until around lunchtime. The trough of low pressure continues to bring thundery showers to the coast of Guangdong and the northern part of the South China Sea. Throughout the evening, it is expected to be cloudy to overcast, with showers and squally thunderstorms. Showers will be heavy at times. Monday will see further heavy showers at first, but things are expected to improve, and the later part of the week is predicted to be very hot, thanks to the outer subsiding air from tropical cyclone Dolphin, which may edge towards the East China Sea. Sports, and now for something completely different. It's the 10th annual dog surfing championship in Pacifica, California. Here's how one competitor got started.
I took him to the beach, I took my surfboard, I'm like, I'll do a couple of little photos, you know, and I did photos on the river jetty, and then I'm like, well, he doesn't get off, he didn't want to get off. And I'm like, Rusty, off. And he's like, no, I'm not getting off. I'm like, okay, well, I'll walk over to the beach because it's like within walking distance. And then I walk over to the beach and I put him on a wave and he surfed it. And then I'm like, okay, there's a surf competition. I'm gonna enter him. He was 4 months old and he took 3rd place. So we've been surfing since we got hooked.
Rusty was among dozens of canine athletes and their human handlers who hit the water, showing off impressive balance, style and confidence, as crowds lined the beach to cheer them on. From tiny terriers to giant retrievers, every heat delivered memorable rides, but only a few days paddled away with titles. And no, we have no idea if Rusty won or not this year, but well, there is always next year. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.